So I started this card with some basic Grey Kioshi pattern paper. I trimmed this piece to 4 inches by 5¼ inches, and then I trimmed one of the floral pieces into a square that I was planning on punching the butterfly with. So I got that done, and now I'm using my Martha Stewart punch around the page butterfly punch, and I did this on an angle just for something different. And then I took a piece of black cardstock that I cut slightly larger than the floral piece to mat it and to make the punched butterfly stand out a little bit more, just like so. And then I knew I wanted to put a sentiment on the card somehow, so I chose this purple piece of paper, and I knew I wanted the sentiment embossed, so I took my embossing buddy. This is from Stampin Up. That just removes any of the static from the paper, and then a white craft ink pad, pigment ink, and that's what I stamped the sentiment in, and then I embossed it with detail white embossing powder. I'll just make it stand out more on the pattern paper. And then I heat embossed that with my embossing gun. And once that was set, I fiddled around a little bit with the layout some more after figuring out where I wanted it and whatnot, and then trimmed the piece of paper. And then I took another piece of black cardstock. This time I trimmed it at 4 1/8 inch by 5 3/8 to mat the pattern paper with. And then I went through my pattern paper and found another piece to punch a smaller butterfly thumb, just a center inside the larger one. And then I adhered that to the card with my ATG gun. And once I got the pattern paper down, I adhered the sentiment strip, which I fiddled with a little bit just to kind of get it where I wanted it on the card. And then I used dimensionals to adhere the punched pattern paper to the black cardstock. So I used several, one in each corner and then one around the butterfly, or each area of the butterfly, just to make it uniform so that the whole area stood up and didn't like bend down and look funny. And then just used scissors to remove the paper backing from the dimensionals. And then took a little bit of fiddling to get that centered in the cardstock, on the cardstock there. So once I had that, I realized I put that sentiment strip too high up. So it took a while, but I deleted that, but I was able to pull it off and move it down a little bit. And then I used some of the Kioshi ribbon doilies and gently pulled that back from the paper backing. This one is very detailed, so it took a little bit of fiddling. Once I got it off there and I got it adhered to the card, you just had to press it down because they're all self-adhesive. Then I trimmed off the ends with scissors that were hanging over, and glued this smaller butterfly with my Tombow Mono Multi. Just glued the center of the body so that the wings stuck up. And then I took this AmyR's green ribbon that I actually just had sitting in my stash, so I decided to use that. It's a little crinkled up because it was in my ribbon jar. It wasn't wrapped up or anything. So I fiddled with that a bit, got the bow the way I wanted it, and then just used my ribbon scissors to trim the ends. And after I got the ribbon the way I wanted it, I decided to put a stitched brad in the center of the bow. And this part, I deleted the following part of it as well because it took me forever to get that brad around the knot in the bow because the prongs were just not long enough. So I fiddled with it forever to finally get it all the way through the cardstock and around that bow. I was just determined to make it work, and it did. It just took a little while. And then I just used the end of the AmyR tool to press the prongs down really good so it's in place. And then I pretty much got it the way I want it, so now I'm going to adhere the butterfly piece to the card front, just like so. So now the card front's done, and all that's left is to adhere it to the actual card base. So I'm using heavyweight white cardstock. I'm scoring it with my score buddy, and then I'm going to adhere the card front to that. So again, my ATG, putting adhesive all around the edges, and then just centering it on the card base. So now the front is done, and now I'm going to finish the inside, which I've decided to keep a fair bit simpler than the outside. I'm just going to use another sentiment from the Get Well sentiment set and a strip of the floral pattern paper. So I'm going to adhere that to the inside of the card, again with my ATG, and then I'm just going to trim off that little bit hanging over with scissors, and then I'm going to stamp the sentiment with black ink, and then I decided to punch another butterfly with the lighter colored cardstock, and I fiddled with that, but then glued it into place, and that was it.